is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful Rabbit Hole, King Dio, Lauren Frey, and the upcoming Jaw the Dragon. So recently I released a formal statement that I do not like the Xenoblade Chronicles games, and I am not looking forward to Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and in fact I have no intention of buying or playing it. I realized when I made this statement that I actually haven't talked about my intense, seething loathing for the Xenoblade Chronicles games in years. I think since back when I finished the first one. I have played X, I have played 2, but it's simply been such a long time since I've actually played these games that my channel, my audience, doesn't seem aware of the fact that I really, really do not like them. In fact, I hate them more than most things. I would say, yeah, I hate them more than modern Final Fantasy or Call of Duty or the Souls games. That was actually one of the things I pointed out, is that, like, yeah, I have more respect for what From Software does with the Souls IP than what Monolith Soft does with Xenoblade. I think Xenoblade is incredibly derivative. I think it's uninspired. I think the gameplay isn't interesting. I think the stories are just asinine. The games are just awful all around, and yet they've really developed this very dedicated cult following of people who legitimately seem to believe that they're top tier JRPGs, at least at like the current point in time, like the one of the best modern JRPGs. I've seen people like say that Xenoblade and Dark Souls are the best currently running JRPG franchises. And I I've always felt that like of neither of those games are really deserving of that moniker. Of course, I personally prefer Fire Emblem and stuff like that, but Xenoblade is just unremarkable in essentially every aspect other than like the sheer scope of the world design and just the sheer size of these areas, right? Like the creativity of what they come up with, like people living on these giant moving creatures. Like, it's a little bit different than what we normally see from these kind of games, and I think that's kind of why people are so fanatical about them, is that they're so distinct. But Xenoblade Chronicles, the original, was the worst Operation Rainfall game. The last story was better, and Pandora's Tower was better, significantly better, in fact. No matter what people like pro Jareds try to say, I found like the last story to be infinitely more charming, with more memorable characters, with more interesting aspects, more fun to play, just just all around better, right? Some nitpicks aside, like when it comes like the pacing and how the game is structured and stuff like that, like I love the last story. Pandora's Tower, the best 3D spiritual successor to the Castlevania franchise, I think, in existence. Great Zelda clone, great unique gimmick. Love that game to bits. Xenoblade, what does it offer? Like, I consistently see it being pushed forward as one of the best games on Wii, but that there are so many titles I enjoy so much more. I get no value out of Xenoblade Chronicles, right? Like, the game is long, but there's nothing to it, right? You just go through the game. I'd rather have like a 3 hour long game, right? Something you can play over and over again. Something like Super Metroid, right? And something like Xenoblade Chronicles, like with that's hundreds of hours long, but isn't enjoyable to actually play. Like, that's kind of my view on it, is that the IP just has no staying power. I think the only reason people are so fanatical about it is because it's so different from other Nintendo IPs, and people have this mindset that like different means it's better, but that really isn't the case. Of course, I'd like to talk more about this in future videos because I feel very passionate about my about how much I detest Xenoblade Chronicles. But let it be known that I am not looking forward to Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I will not be buying it, and I will not be recommending it for Game of the Year 2022.